Unplugged Army, it's time to register for the LPGA Ford Championship at Whirlwind Golf Club. Go to FordChampionship.com and you can either buy tickets, or an even better deal would be to volunteer. This is the biggest event on the calendar, calling all generals and really anybody that's even a private in the Unplugged Army. Please volunteer for the 2026 LPGA Ford Championship at Whirlwind Golf Club at Wild Horse Pass, and help the world to feel the wind.
Thanks for listening, Unplugged Army. I'm Louis Unga, General Manager at Whirlwind Golf Club at Wild Horse Pass. We're proud to present Doug Franz Unplugged.
Form an offense.
Form an offense.
4 minutes.
Form an offense. Form an offense.
Everything you need to know in sports that affects Maricopa County, the state of Arizona, and the world, you get in 4 minutes. We start things off in Provo, Utah. The number one team in the country matches their best start to a season in program history. UofA is 21-0. They beat BYU 86-83. Halfway through the second, BYU was down 19 points. They came all the way back, cut it to a 1-point deficit. Robert Wright had only 7 points when he drove the lane inside of 10 seconds to go, and Braden Burries came from the weak side. Massive block to seal the game.
Honestly, I was just thinking my teammates have been having my back this whole year. Like, that was the least I can do, is help them in that position right there. So I just wanted to help them miss the shot and just try to get the rebound, and I seen that he was open. I just went for the block.
And something no one expected, he was the best freshman on the floor. Had 29 points on 7 of 13 shooting, as DeBonsa had 24 points on 1 of 8 shooting from 3. Head coach, Tommy Lloyd.
I know that you're not always going to come out on the winning side, but we really wanted this challenge for our team. This was a great opportunity for us, win or lose, and we approached it as such.
Up next, heading up to Tempe, ASU U of A tips off Saturday at noon. Looks like the Cardinals have narrowed their coaching search down to 3 names. Anthony Weaver, Miami defensive coordinator, has come in for a second interview. Anthony Campanile, the Jacksonville defensive coordinator, has already had a second interview. And it's not known whether it's today or tomorrow, but Mike LaFleur, the LA offensive coordinator, is scheduled to have a second interview. If the Cardinals want to have a second interview with Clint Kubiak, the Seattle offensive coordinator, they need to do it soon, as he's locked out of being able to be interviewed once next week starts, so he can prepare for the Super Bowl. New third baseman Nolan Arenado had played in the World Baseball Classic with the United States. He's now changing teams. His mother is of Puerto Rican descent, so he's decided to play with Puerto Rico in this go-round. Up next, pitchers and catchers for the Diamondbacks report on February 10th. Some positive Suns news and a little bit of negative. Jalen Green is going to be listed as questionable for tonight's game, meaning he'll play barring anything that happens later on today. Bad news, Houston and the Lakers were both winners last night, so now the Rockets are in 4th place. Lakers are a half game back. Minnesota a game and a half back of Houston. Then it's the beginning of the play-in tournament standings, where the Suns are in 7th place, 1 half game behind Minnesota to get out of the play-in tournament. Up next, Suns take on the Brooklyn Nets. Downtown, tip-off tonight, 7 o'clock. GCU and ASU are also in action tonight. Devils left on Sunday. They're in Orlando. They take on UCF today at 5. Grand Canyon went in the other direction. They went up to Reno. They're taking on Nevada tonight, tip-off 8:30. Clemson head coach Dabo Sweeney is hot. He claims to have signed linebacker Luke Farrelly out of the transfer portal. Farrelly came to a contractual agreement. However, the Ole Miss coaching staff kept recruiting Farrelly anyway, despite the agreement. On the last day the transfer portal was open, Farrelly transferred from Clemson before he ever played a game for Clemson.
You know, tampering 101 is when you're talking to kids who aren't in the portal. Tampering 201 is when you've already negotiated the deal with the kids not in the portal. Tampering 301 is when you got a kid who's gone in the portal, signed somewhere, moved there, gone to classes, and you're texting them while they're in class.
And finally, just a quick public service announcement. Hyundai has recalled 83,000 vehicles because they can't really tell you how far you're going to be able to go or how fast you're going to get there. They're claiming there is a software problem that's creating a critical information error on the instrument panel, meaning Your speedometer and your fuel gauge don't work. I guess I shouldn't be laughing at this one. That is kind of horrifying. Wait a minute. Why is Grandma passing all these people? Wait a minute. Why is Grandma out on the side of the road out of gas already? Hyundai has said they'll be able to issue through Wi-Fi an update to fix the problem. If your problem isn't fixed within the week, then please go see your Hyundai dealer. I would say no. Go buy from Santan Ford.
Hey, Unplugged Army, this is General Mike. The thing I love about Bell's most is the staff. Every time I come here, they make sure I'm having a good time, and I always bring my daughter here, and she has dietary restrictions. They always find something with their fresh ingredients to make for her to hit the gluten-free, dairy-free menu items. So always enjoy it when I come here. Can't wait to come back.
Bell's Nashville Kitchen on Main Street in Old Town Scottsdale.
You found home, down home.
Hi, I'm Angie with Penny Royal Promotions. We decorate blank apparel, screen printing, embroidery, direct to film. Also, we provide promotional products, offset printing, tents, canopies, banners, business cards, anything you can put a logo on. Okay, Unplugged Army, if you own a business, you have an upcoming event, a charity function, golf tournament, we're the official provider of the Unplugged Army. Ask for Angie. I'm this year's euchre champion.
Okay, on the amazing list of complaints, I've built my new Lazy Boy office chair, and the back is so comfortable. My back feels so much better. And yet, the padding of the seat is so brand new that it's not broken in, and it's really kind of stiff, and now my butt hurts. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whenever it is that you've decided to make Doug Franz Unplugged a part of your day, my family greatly appreciates it. My name is Doug Franz, and you have found the only podcast in the world totally devoted to the coverage of the 4 major sports franchises of one great American city that drops on your phone each and every weekday morning. We also cover ASU, UofA, GCU, the Rattlers, the Rising, and the Merc. This is Doug Franz Unplugged, presented by Whirlwind Golf Club at Wild Horse Pass, home of the 2026 LPGA Ford Championship. How are you? I'm in a very, very strange mood is the only way I can put it. I am so excited of the what I've done here in the studio. I got so much work done yesterday. It was a really great day. Did a whole bunch of new commercials, worked on a lot of new things, cleaned up the laptop, cleaned up in the office here, and then I elevated the desk, so now I got a brand new chair that fits under the desk. The desk is kind of obnoxiously high now, but it fits the chair. The chair is so comfortable for my back, and yet the padding is almost too good for the butt, and it's kind of stiff. And so I got to get used to this, and hopefully I'll be able to wear it down a little bit. And I don't want to admit this, but Jennifer got a new desk chair too. Hers was $100 cheaper, and I like it better. It's just so awful. But I don't really want to tell her that I think she did better than I did. But mine is so comfortable to recline in, but it's not as comfortable yet to work in. I think I'm going to get used to it though, because I really do love sitting in it, love the desk, so I'm happy on a lot of things. Hopefully your life is going well. Podcast up late again. It's 5:07 already, right? I don't know when I'm going to just get my head screwed on straight. But Tuesdays are always tough because it takes a long time to edit Town Hall Tuesday. And I kind of added something today. Doug's big one is somebody else talking, and that took me a while to edit. So I'll just explain to you now. Dabo Sweeney went off, just absolutely went off on a transfer portal situation. And I was so fascinated by it, I just decided that's Doug's big one. And just decided I'm going to play Dabo Sweeney. But it was about a 22 or 23 minute speech that he had. And he had a lot of ums, a lot of alls, kind of jumped around in a confusing way sometimes in relaying the story. So I edited all that down and smashed it into 11 minutes. So it's a lot easier to digest. But that took a long time for me to do that. So that's why the podcast is a little late today. Really jacked up. Today's a big day. Got a lunch appointment with CBS 5. Don't get too excited about it because they were so fair to me last year, or maybe it was 2 years ago. So clear, said, hey, we're not looking for that right now, but here's something you can think of. And they came up with a lot of neat ideas. And even though they didn't come to fruition, I still really appreciate that. So maybe they've got some new ideas and I want to meet with them. And who knows, maybe they are thinking about something else. So I got that for lunch. And then tonight for dinner, I am meeting with a local coach. It's not fair yet for me to tell you who it is because I don't know if they want that public, but they invited me to dinner and I don't have any idea what we're talking about. I know nothing. So I'm really intrigued by why they thought of me and what I'm going to be able to do to help. So that is tonight. Still got a lot of meetings this week. A lot going on. What was that? A lot going on that can dramatically affect the future of the Unplugged Army, but almost all of it all of it is in a very, very positive way. Of course, UofA and Cardinals are the two biggest stories, little bit of Suns, and it's Town Hall Tuesday. So all of that's coming up. But right now, it's time for Doug's Big One. It's my number one opinion of the day. Let's roll. Doug.
Where's Doug? Here, sorry, Doug. Where you at?
Yeah, was that a plug to unplug right there? That was smooth.
Well, I can only answer the questions that get asked of me, Doug.
Obviously, Franz is such a good player.
Doug's Big One. So Dabo Swinney is the coach of Clemson. We kind of get this is like characters in a play, to be honest. Dabo Swinney is the coach of Clemson. Jordan Sorrells is the Clemson general manager. So you're going to have to remember the name Jordan or Sorrells. That's Clemson GM. Luke Farrelly is a former Clemson linebacker, but here's what's weird. He was only a former linebacker for a week. He transferred to Clemson, signed a deal, and then when the transfer portal was still open last Friday, he transferred out after being there a week. Ryan Williams is the agent of Luke Farrelly. Ben Boulware is the Clemson linebacker coach. Pete Golding is the Ole Miss head coach. And Jay Chowdhury, which is not even attempted by coach, is the Ole Miss director of player personnel. So those are the names. I'll go through them again in a second. Doug's Big One today, my number one opinion is just simply how right Dabo Swinney is and how much I hope this gets through of what he's about to say and how frustrated he is at the state of college football. Make no mistake, it is the fault of every single college president that we are underneath this situation and the gutlessness of Board of Regents across our country to do something about it. And I'll even say politicians for not standing up to those college presidents for their ignorance on this issue. The NCAA is not athletic directors. It is not head coaches. It is college presidents. That is the NCAA. They make the rules and or are in charge of the people that do make the rules. They were the ones that put in charge Mark Emmert because he was basically somebody just like them, a college president who didn't know anything that he was doing. And he destroyed a lot of college sports as we know it and never gets blamed. And the college presidents somehow never get blamed. So know that going in. But this situation kind of takes the cake. And Coach Dabo's going to explain everything that happened. And I just All Doug's big one is I agree with everything Dabo Swinney is doing. I agree with creating real life rules. I care about real life governance. I care about doing things the right thing. And I think he's handling this the right way by going public about it. So again, here are the names as you hear the story, because he's going to go through everything that happened with losing linebacker Luke Farrelly. At least so far as we know, losing linebacker Luke Farrelly. Jordan Sorrells is Clemson GM. Ben Boulware, Clemson linebacker coach. So anytime you hear the name Jordan or Ben, that's Clemson. Luke Farrelly is the player. Ryan Williams is the agent. So Luke player, Ryan agent, and the Ole Miss representatives are Pete Golding, the head coach, and Jay Chudhari, which coach is going to just spell because coach doesn't want to try to say his name. And that's the Ole Miss director of player personnel. Here is the story of losing Luke Farrelly.
Obviously, we had a very public situation with our portal signee that signed with Clemson, moved to Clemson, went to class, trained, and now he's no longer at Clemson. So I know y'all have heard a lot about that. My objective today is to just provide a little bit of clarity, a little bit of context as to what happened with this situation. So first of all, we did everything right. Kid goes in the portal, we reach out. He's interested, comes and visits Clemson, says this is where he wants to go, and we sign him. He moves to Clemson, again, rents an apartment, buys a car, goes to class for a week, trains, team meeting, position meetings, writes out his goals for the semester, full-blown, let's Clemson student, we're rolling, and then all of a sudden, not here anymore. So how did we get here? Well, Sunday, January the 4th, Jordan Sorrells had his first conversation with Ryan Williams, the agent. And on Monday, January the 5th, at 8:30, Luke Farrelly, he showed up here at Clemson with his dad for his official visit. And they came over to my house a little after 9 or so that night. So I had a chance to meet with them for the very first time. And, it was just to get to know each other right there at the beginning. Had a good conversation. My first question was, hey, they had just come in off of Ole Miss visit. I said, how was the visit? And his dad said, not good. Said it was a mess. It was unorganized. It was chaos. The building was a mess. Nobody knew what was going on. And I was like, well, look forward to y'all seeing Clemson tomorrow. We're going to be organized and structured. And so just kind of had some chit chat that night. And then the next day, on Tuesday, January the 6th, he had his visit on campus at 2:30. Ryan Williams, the agent, Luke, the player, and his dad, They verbally accepted the terms of the offer, and they made a commitment to Clemson. Everybody high-fived it. Everybody's excited. We got our linebacker. We were going to take one linebacker. We're going to take one. So we got our linebacker. We canceled all the visits of all the other guys that we were going to schedule to come in throughout the rest of the week because we're done. We're taking one. We've made our commitment. He signed. That was 2:30. At 3:15, Luke and his dad left town to go back to California. Then Wednesday, January 7th at 11 a.m., Luke signed his financial aid agreement with Clemson. And then Sunday, January the 11th, he moved to Clemson. Again, rents an apartment, buys a car, goes to class for a week. He's in training for a week, team meeting, position meeting, all that. And then on Wednesday, January 14th at 9:49 p.m., the agent, Ryan Williams, calls Jordan Sorrells. And during that conversation, Ryan conveys that Ole Miss has been coming hard after Luke. Sorrells confirmed, he went with the agent, he said, are you talking about the same Luke that's been enrolled at Clemson, that's been in class, that's moved here, that signed with Clemson? And the agent assured him, yes, the same one. But he also assured Jordan Sorrells that Luke had no intention of leaving Clemson, but just thought y'all should be in the loop and check up on him tomorrow. So Thursday, January 15th at 11:45 a.m., just this past Thursday, Jordan came to me and he told me about the conversation that he had the night before with the agent at 9:49. And so I directed Sorrells, hey, you reach, I don't know. I said, who's their GM? He said his name is Austin Thomas. I said, will you reach out to their GM? He said he knows him. And I said, listen, this guy has been a head coach for 4 weeks. I said, you reach out to the GM. I'm going to give him some grace. And you let him know that we know what's going on. And if he doesn't cease communication, I'm going to turn him in. And so I really thought that would be the end of it, but it wasn't. So after that was 11:45. At 12:10, Jordan communicated to Austin Thomas via text because he was unable to reach him on the phone. And just a few minutes later, at 12:14, they both connected on the phone. The Ole Miss GM, Austin Thomas, and Jordan reiterated our stance one more time. The GM assured Jordan that he had communicated to the agent that he wanted no part of this, and that his relationship with Jordan was more important to him than Luke Ferrelli, but that Pete Golding just does what he does, quote, unquote. So at 1:30, Sorrells met with Luke face-to-face in his office, and Luke communicated to Jordan and to Ben Boulware that Pete texted him on Wednesday morning, the head coach at Ole Miss, when he was in his 8 a.m. class. And he said the text message said, "I know you're signed. What's the buyout?" Luke said that Coach Golding also texted him a picture of a $1 million contract. Luke also mentioned to Jordan and to Ben that Coach Golding had Trinidad Chambliss call him from his phone, and that Coach Golding was there continuing to talk on his phone to push him to re-enter the transfer portal. He also said that Jackson Dart had reached out and called him. But Luke again assured Jordan that he had no intention of leaving. And Jordan kept me in the loop and told me the same thing. So we had a staff meeting on Friday morning, January the 16th, the last day of the portal. At 11:20, Luke called Ben Boulware and told him that Mississippi had reached out again, even though I had kind of let them know the day before, had reached out again, and they had not only reached out, but they had upped and doubled their offer. But Luke told Ben, hey, we're good. And so Ben told Luke to come to the office and see Sorrells and Coach Sweeney and let them know, hey, everything is okay. So when that was over, Ben then texted Jordan Sorrells, and he let him know that Ole Miss had raised its offer to 2 years, $2 million. And again, that he had told Luke to come over and see us and let us know that everything is good. So 11:20, Luke called Ben. 11:22, he texted Jordan this. At 11:57, Sorrells spoke with the agent Ryan Williams about the situation once again. The agent confirmed that head coach Pete Golding had continued to communicate with Luke and had raised the offer once again. Jordan asked to have Luke to give us the text messages that he had received from Coach Golding, but the agent was hesitant to do that because he didn't want to burn any bridges with Ole Miss, as you never know what will happen down the road. However, the agent communicated that if we were to add a second year at $1 million to the already agreed upon deal with Luke, then they would gladly give us whatever we need in order to turn Ole Miss in, which Jordan appropriately said, no, we're not doing that. He also communicated that Ole Miss Assistant Director of Player Personnel, I guess it's J-A-I, Choudary, Shortery, I'm not sure, but the Assistant Director of Player Personnel was pushing to set up a Zoom call with them to discuss the details of their contract offer. So that was at 11:57, talking to the agent. At 12:30, Sorrells met Luke out in the parking lot outside our football facility, and Luke communicated that he was coming to assure him and Coach Sweeney that he wasn't going anywhere. I was not in the building. Jordan called me to let me know what Luke said and for me to reach out to him. I called Luke and didn't get an answer. I'm back at work. I'm in my office. Everything's good. 4:14, Jordan Sorrells comes to see me. He had gotten a call from compliance telling him that Luke is in our compliance office trying to request to re-enter the transfer portal. So Jordan let me know, he let Tom Allen know, called Luke, no answer. At 4:19, Jordan called the agent Ryan Williams again to alert him that Luke had requested to enter the portal. He responded via text to let him know that he was flying. Sorrells texted, Luke just reached out to our compliance and requested to go in the portal. What the heck is going on? The agent's response was, oh, bleep. Let me try and find out.
Now, there's more coming. I'm interrupting for just a second as you're listening to this. This part of the story kind of bothers me because I think it shows that this Ryan Williams guy, the agent, is a bold-faced liar or a bad agent. I don't know which. And the reason why I say that is if your player is transferring, how do you not know that? So why would you react, oh, blank, if you already know? So either you're lying because you already know he's transferring, or you're not a very good agent if you're not close to the player to begin with. There is a third thing. Let me be a little defensive for this Ryan guy. There is a third thing. Maybe I didn't think of this before I interrupted. That the kid knows what he's doing is so wrong and the agent's going to have a problem with it that he doesn't even tell the agent. Now, do I believe that? No. You know why? Remember the part of the story where the agent says, hey, if you extend the deal, I'll give you these texts. So think about that. I want to keep my relationship with Pete Golding, so I'm not going to give you the texts, but you can buy us off and I'll give you the texts. How about that guy? So that's why I'm pretty confident this guy's full of crap when he said, hey, I'll get back to you, let me find out. Because he should have known. All right, more Dabo.
At 4:40, Sorrells and Coach Allen arrived at Luke's apartment. Luke was in the driveway when they got there. His immediate response was, I'm going to Ole Miss. Coach Allen and Jordan spent some time talking to him, and when they departed, he just said, hey, I need to clear my head. At 5:39, Jordan spoke with the Ole Miss GM, Austin Thomas, again to let him know that we knew all that was going on and that we were going to pursue all options to hold them accountable for tampering. And then at 7:20, after a phone call with Tom Allen and Ben Boulware, Luke affirmed his plan to enter the transfer portal, and then he called me and told me the same thing. Once I got word of all this at 4:15 that he was going over there trying to go in the portal, I immediately called our AD, Graham Neff. I also called Commissioner Phillips. He also called the SEC commissioner and others. So, this is obviously a crazy time. We turned everything in to the NCAA. And I'm just going to say this. This is like there's tampering and then there's blatant tampering. Tampering 101 is when you're talking to kids who aren't in the portal. Tampering 201 is when you've already negotiated the deal with the kids not in the portal. Tampering 301 is when you got a kid who's gone in the portal, signed somewhere, moved there, gone to classes, and you're texting them while they're in class. That's like a whole nother level of tampering. And it's total hypocrisy because all this is going on while they, on the other side, are trying to fight their defensive end from going in the portal. They have accused publicly others of tampering with their roster and their players while they are over here tampering. All right, so this is just a really sad state of affairs, and it's, to me, we have a broken system. And if there are no consequences for tampering, then we have no rules and we have no governance. It's really just that simple, okay? This is not, let me be very clear, this is not about a linebacker at Clemson. I feel sorry for I think it's a symptom of a system that you have a kid that I meet at 9:30 and he's signing the next day. Like, I feel sorry for the young man, to be honest with you. I blame the adults. If you want to have adult world, then there needs to be adult consequences, okay? But this is not about a linebacker at Clemson. And I don't want anyone on our team that doesn't want to be here. I would never want that, all right? But let me tell you what it is about. It's about the next kid. And it's about the next kid, and it's about the message that is being sent if this blatant tampering is allowed to happen without any consequences. This is about protecting our program. This is about college football. That's what this is about. I stay in my lane most of the time. I've seen a lot of things in my days, and I'm like, hey, man, you just do whatever you're going to do, but here's what I'm going to do. I've always just kind of stayed in my lane and handled my business. And I've stayed focused on Clemson. But I am not going to let someone just flat out tamper with my program. If you tamper with my players, I'm going to turn you in. It's just that simple. And again, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe maybe this isn't tampering. I don't know. Maybe I just need to get some clarification on what tampering is. But I understood tampering to be if someone is signed and in classes and not in the portal, because he's not in the portal, he had to re-enter the portal, then that's the definition of tampering. So if it's not, then my apologies. But that's what I see as tampering.
And that is Doug's big one. I don't have anything to add above what Dabo said. Really excited for my daughter's friend. She got reached out to by Linda, the person that we coordinate for the Santan Ford Unplugged Army Friends and Family rate. Now she's looking at a couple cars, and she's very excited. See, buying a car can be wonderful again. It can be the amazing moment it's supposed to be. You should be excited about it. And I know you will be if you choose Santan Ford, 202 in Val Vista, where my daughter bought her last new car. I am Santan Ford. I don't have anything to add to the Clemson story, but I'll stay on football. We'll just jump right into the Cardinals coaching search, and then we'll talk U of A coming up next. So here's where we stand as of right now. We need to pay very close attention to any reports that come out about Clint Kubiak. He is the Seahawks offensive coordinator. I'm really interested in him because they've done good things the last 2 years with two different quarterbacks. Geno Smith, granted the Raiders are a dumpster fire, but Geno Smith, who looked terrible last year with the Raiders, the year before that, if I say 2025 is last year now, the 2025 season, Geno Smith was terrible with the Raiders, and he was above average with the Seahawks. And now Darnold was excellent. Darnold might be third in MVP voting. I don't know. But I like Clint Kubiak. I at least want him talked to. Clint Kubiak was interviewed by the Cardinals in week 1 of the playoffs. You're allowed to interview people via Zoom, or really, they just say virtually. You're allowed to do that virtually the first 2 days before or right at the end of the season for teams that are in the playoffs. So you can do that. So they did that. They took care of that. Once you do that, you're now allowed to interview them again following either one of two things: their loss in the playoffs or the conference championship game. That's why the Cardinals lost draft picks with the Eagles when they tampered with Jonathan Gannon. According to the GM, he just says, I forgot about this. I asked him if he's interested. He said yes, and then I realized that was a violation, and they acted like they didn't really do anything. And the league took a kind of messed with, I think, a 5th-round pick, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember what it was. So it's the same thing here. The Cardinals did not interview Jonathan Gannon virtually before week 1 of the playoffs. So since they didn't, they weren't allowed to talk to him until his team was eliminated. So their first communication with him has to be after the game. And they had already talked to him and hired him hours later. So you could tell they were pulling some funny strings in the back. Well, with Clint Kubiak, they did talk to Kubiak in week 1. So they are allowed to talk to Kubiak, but it's only for the first couple days of the first week. They can't talk to him at all next week until the week after that. Super Bowl week, you can't talk to anybody. I'm making a big deal about this because I really like Clint Kubiak, and they've already done 3 second interviews. So if Clint Kubiak is still a candidate, we would need to hear that soon, meaning somebody would be reporting this soon, that Clint Kubiak received his second interview. If not, then we're kind of out of luck on Clint Kubiak. We know through reports, Anthony Weaver, Miami defensive coordinator, had his second interview yesterday. Anthony Campanile has already had his second interview. And other reports say Mike LaFleur, the LA offensive coordinator, will receive his second interview after Anthony Weaver, either meaning it happened last night or it's happening today or tomorrow. So we'll keep an eye on the Mike LaFleur thing. Very good article written by Teo Mackey, Arizona Republic, talking about the possibility of Mike LaFleur saying he didn't do a good job with the Jets with the 28th and 29th ranked offense while he was a play caller. That matters. However, it's the Jets. I give everybody a pass with the Jets. So he goes to the Rams again, and he's the offensive coordinator, but he's not calling plays. So you do have to know that. He's not a play caller yet. But his brother calls plays as the head coach of the Packers, and his brother does very well. And then an amazing job by Teo Mackey with this really good stat. Of all of the people in the NFL that were once a Sean McVay offensive coordinator, they are 132 wins, 69 losses, 1 tie in their time as a head coach. That's a pretty impressive record. And multiple-time playoff contender / playoff participant. So when you hear that, it's easy to say whatever's going on with the Sean McVay tree works. Whether he's just brilliant at who he hires or whether you learn so much while you work for him that makes you a quality head coaching candidate. So I'm really interested. The Anthony Weaver one doesn't grab me very much, but the Mike LaFleur and the Clint Kubiak does a lot. The Anthony Campanile, boy, it's a short stay as a defensive coordinator, but gosh, the way people talk about him. I have to admit, you're never going to get me to accept the firing of Jonathan Gannon because you kept Monty Austin for it. It just shows me that you're kind of clueless. Either they both should have stayed or they both should have been fired. But to me, it's ridiculous to fire either of them when they've never gotten to institute their system with their quarterback. I think it was handled all wrong. And especially when I heard the reasons why. I'm kind of rehashing it. It's a little old, but the reasons are, look at all the turnarounds going around in the NFL, and Jonathan Gannon wasn't able to do it. So that means he's not as good as them, so we need to fire our coach. Never saying, here's what these other teams do. Here's how the other owners support them. Here's why these other organizations are better. And here's what I've got to do to fix it. And it's just, no, what I got to do to fix it is just fire the coach. It's always the coach, always the coach, always the coach. And you look up and down that roster and you ask what coach is winning with that. So it'll be also interesting to see if somebody does take the job, what kind of parameters are there in the contract. If their agent is fought for, he gets 5 years, it's guaranteed that he cannot be fired in the first 4 for any football reason, blah, 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 whatever that might be. It'll be interesting to see what they try to put into the contract. The other thing that I think is the most exciting is the fact that I have not seen any report that says Vance Joseph has interviewed for a second time. Vance Joseph interviewed once. It was well known that he really wants the Cardinals job. Vance Joseph is the defensive coordinator of the Broncos, and therefore he's out of the playoffs, which means he's eligible to be interviewed right now for the second time. You don't have to wait. And no reports say he's had the second interview. Doesn't mean he won't, but there are no reports that says he's going to have it. So when you hear that makes you feel like, okay, he's out of the running. And I had also heard that Raheem Morris is either had a second interview, the former coach of the Falcons, or he's scheduled to have one. So there's the big names: Weaver, LaFleur, Campanile, Kubiak, Raheem Morris. 3 of them are defensive coordinators. 2 of them are offensive coordinators. And I really shouldn't be adding Kubiak's name into that list because nobody has put him on the list. They've just said he was interviewed once. The other guys interviewed twice. Last thing on Cardinals. Coming up in, I don't know how long. I'm going to talk about UofA for about 25 minutes, and then we'll do Town Hall Tuesday. Coming up in Town Hall Tuesday, AZ Brew Crew sends in a tweet with a stat that I was confused about. 48.5% versus 28%. I didn't know what that was. what's kind of funny, I know this is ahead of time. Now I'm going to explain to you what it is, even though when you hear it later in the show, I'm confused. It's because Jennifer and I recorded Town Hall Tuesday about 7 hours ago, and now I'm ready. I was able to get access to the article, look it up, and learn about it. Teo Mackey, in his article about disgruntled Cardinals fans who are turning in their season tickets, he lists an amazing stat of the 7 teams that are family owned and do not have a president that's outside their family. A lot of families say we don't need to name a team president. Of the 7 teams that do not have a team president, in the last 3 years, they have made the playoffs 28% of the time. Of the teams that do have a team president that's not a member of the family that owns the team, those teams have made the playoffs 48.5% of the time. Think about that. We're not even talking about football operations. We're just saying a team president. We're saying a family that understands, you know what, I might not be good at this football thing. Just because dad owned the team doesn't mean I know what I'm doing to own the team. I saw that and that is incredible reporting. Incredible. I'm sorry I missed it. The article's kind of an old article, but as I was going through trying to find my password to AZ Central, I didn't see this article, and I just read it after we recorded Town Hall Tuesday. And I just want that to marinate. To do that kind of research, find that out, and then come up with that stat. The reason why I think it's incredible is because the president sets the culture that is different than what the owner might do. And I have been saying I would say since January, I think. Other people have said it too. I admit I've never heard them say it. So it was like a new opinion to me. Other people are claiming, I've seen on Twitter, oh, I've been saying this for 3 years, 5 years. Okay. I'm not calling you a liar. I'm just saying, don't look at me like I took your idea and ran with it. I came up with it, said it on 12 News for the first time for me, because I never thought about it before. But it just became apparent once the firing of Jonathan Gannon, it will never get better as long as Michael Bidwell is 100% in charge. And you've got to have a level of separation. He's just not good as an NFL owner. And putting a team president in there that will run it like a successful business, I look at that stat and I think it tags Michael Bidwell immediately. If a coach had numbers like this, if you learned that 48% of all offensive coordinators made the playoffs, but only 26% of defensive coordinators made the playoffs, would you not be hiring an offensive coordinator? If you found out that 48% of all quarterbacks from the Big 12 went to the playoffs, but only 26% from the SEC went to the playoffs, would you not look harder at the film of the SEC quarterback that you liked, wondering, am I sure about this? Would you not feel more confident when you drafted a big, if you apply that kind of gap to any other part of the game of football, Michael Bidwell would demand change, would demand we look at that analytic and start following it. But since it applies to him, what is he going to do? Don't say that you really care that much about improvement if you're not willing to do it yourself. And the way to improve the Arizona Cardinals is to hire a team president that is not a puppet. And that's Doug's second one. Coming up next. Again, that's an explanation for what you're going to hear during Town Hall Tuesday when I had no idea what I was talking about. Up next, let's talk UofA. The number one team in the country mocks every AP voter that thought it was somebody else. Next, on Doug Franz Unplugged, presented by Whirlwind Golf Club at Wild Horse Pass, home of the 2026 LPGA Ford Championship. The word nothing is actually a good thing when you call Parker & Sons heating, cooling, plumbing, and electrical. You see, the nothing is you don't pay for a weekend fee, an emergency fee, a nighttime fee, or any other made-up fee. Of course, you pay for the service, but Parker & Sons doesn't charge you like you've inconvenienced them to help you. When you have any issues with your heating, cooling, plumbing, or electrical, there's one place to call, 602-2-REPAIR. That's 602, the number 2, then REPAIR for Parker & Sons.
It's big, it's juicy, it's meaty. Get your burrito at Burrito Express. If you're having a hangover, a bad day, even a good day, still get your burrito at Burrito Express. It will make you feel better.
Here we go. Openly mocking the voters of the Associated Press. Truthfully, Duke just smashed Louisville yesterday, and I could easily see some people somehow deciding I'm going to change my vote because Duke has the most ranked wins now and give total disregard to winning in front of 18,000 people at BYU. I'm wondering if anybody's going to do it. But U of A goes to 21-0. They win 86-83 yesterday. Kind of a strange game. U of A with a terrible assist to turnover ratio of 1-to-1, 13 assists, 13 turnovers. And normally for a team that's number one in the country, I mean, I would be blasting their offense, because I didn't really think they had great ball movement offensively. But what happened is they rarely were in the half court. They played defense so well that they were able to get the ball down the floor. And then there weren't really a lot of assists because the ball's already down there and it became a lot of one-on-one basketball or one pass, two passes, and the passes didn't really set up the shot. It was more of the drive. They attacked the rim an awful lot, and that got them to the free throw line. It's a massive gap, one that BYU fans certainly noticed. 26 of 32 for U of A from the free throw line, 12 of 19 for BYU. So plus 14 points. U of A made 7 more free throws than BYU even shot. I did think the officiating was horrible, but I didn't think a lot of the times U of A went to the foul line, it was a bad call. I thought BYU not going to the foul line in the second half were a lot of missed calls. But I'm not, for those of you that are, if you're a BYU fan, don't get excited like, yeah, you're right, Doug. Well, I thought it was a joke at the end of the game, some of the fouls that were called against U of A. It was like, oh, wait, I didn't realize the foul shooting disparity was so bad. Let's make up a bunch of crap now. Really not a good game. No, I don't think they were rigged or anything like that. I just think they had a bad day. Bad refs in that game. Here is Tommy Lloyd and what he had to say once he sat down. Keep in mind, if you didn't see the game, U of A blew out BYU until halfway through the second half. And then I don't know what happened. They just shut it down. BYU came storming back, erased a 19-point deficit in 10 minutes, and went on a 12-2 run in the last 80 seconds of the game. 12-2 to be down by a point with the ball.
Obviously, great game, great environment. BYU is a tough place to win, and we knew it was going to be a real challenge. I thought for long stretches in the game we played great, and and they seem to have the ability to do. They surmounted a hard charge at the end, and fortunate for us, I didn't think it was going to get to that point, but it did. I mean, they had the ball with 11 seconds to go, down 1, and Braden came up with a big-time defensive play and got the rebound and made 2 free throws. So it's a big-time finish for us. And, we've been talking a lot about that, from going back to this summer, that there's going to be some games that come down to getting one stop. And we haven't been in a lot of them, so it was great to experience. So it's a big-time finish for us. And, we've been talking a lot about that, from going back to this summer, that there's going to be some games that come down to getting one stop. And we haven't been in a lot of them, so it was great to experience that and have it come out, our way.
I am already fascinated by the NBA draft as it relates to Braden Burries. He is not the best athlete in the draft. And there are so many people, when they run a draft, they look at the term upside and they want to say this kid's going to be better, and they want somebody else. I am not going to tell you that Brandon Burries will be a better NBA player than AJ DeBanza. Sorry. It's really DeBanza. I just kind of got a little weird there. I do think AJ DeBanza will be the best NBA player that was on the floor last night. But notice I'm saying future tense. Who was the best player on the floor last night? Braden Burries. He was the best player on the floor last night. He was absolutely phenomenal. And what I loved, that block that sealed the win. So for some reason, they don't put it in Devonta's hand. It was in the hand of Robert Wright. And Wright drove down to the block. I think it was Ivan that blocked him off. And then he tries to spin back into the lane, and Burries blocks the shot. If you see it and you're just watching the ball in the block, it's a nice block. It's impressive. But if you're watching Burries, that's where it's really special. Because Burries is outside the lane on the weak side, and he's making sure his guy isn't going to get the ball. But as Wright, the ball handler for BYU, gets further and further down the lane, the intelligence of Burries is, my guy is less of a threat because you're losing the passing angle the more you drop. So the more Wright went down towards the left block, the more Burries crept into the lane. And the split second that Wright realized I'm stuck here and started to spin the other way, Burries was already on what he was going to do, was already set up, and came racing across the lane with the weak side block. A lot of times when you block a shot and you're not the primary defender, it's simply a block-to-block move. He's posted up on the block against your teammate. He doesn't see you coming. He spins on that block, and you go from your block over and you block it. It's almost like you go over the back of your own teammate, blocking the shot. It's impressive, it's intelligent, but it's not amazing. Burries was not on the weak side block. He was at the weak side elbow and came across the lane and down to the block. It was a very, very high basketball IQ play. Really cool that he did that. And I was jacked up to see it. Now, one aspect, however, beforehand, there was, or a little bit before that, there was a bad flagrant foul called on him. And it was 100% legit. I think it should have been a flagrant one, and it was. And I was scared he was going to get a flagrant two. I would have been against it. It would have been the wrong call. But all they have to do is decide, well, that was excessive. And honestly, it was excessive. I just know what I want in a basketball game. It's a hard foul situation, but he did kind of wrench his shoulder and throw him to the ground a little bit. So I was worried they were going to give him a flagrant 2, which is amazing to think how would that have affected the game. Glad they didn't. I think physical basketball is good basketball. But that was an important call. So Coach Lloyd was asked about the fact that Burries was so important to the end of the game, but kind of hinted, did he lose his cool a little bit picking up the flagrant foul? I love the way Tommy Lloyd defended it.
This game's hard. I don't know. It's hard. I don't know what happens in some of these reviews. They're tough. It seems like every time they go to a review, come on, it's a good basketball play. You're not trying to hurt a guy. You're literally got an All-American player point blank. What are you supposed to do? Get out of the way and let him dunk it on you? Come on, guys. We all played basketball growing up. You foul, and you can't give up an and one, or your coach is going to yell at you. It's just tough. It's tough. Tobey's deal was tough. That's tough. But again, we did have great officials tonight, so I don't know if it's the officials' fault or just the way they're trying to administer the rules. But guys, that really didn't have anything to do with the game. I'm just saying that. I'm talking on the when the refs are going to evaluate stuff and for flagrant ones, it's tough. And we had a couple games ago where they literally flopped and were grabbing our guys' arms and putting them up in their face, and they were asking for appeals, and there's no penalty it should be a technical foul. If you call for an appeal and it's not, it should be a technical foul. There's got to be something on the line here. So I don't know. That's a conversation for another day. Great environment. Super impressed with BYU's team. Coach Young's a great coach, doing a great job. We were fortunate enough to make one more play than them tonight, and I'm looking forward to a couple days off.
Notice he said we did have great refs tonight. I think he's saying normally these guys get it right. Because the truth is they were not great last night at all. The other thing that was interesting about what he said there is the coach is going to yell at you. All of us played basketball. I don't know if everybody in that media room did, but he's exactly right. I hate to go back in my day, but I remember having practices where we practiced fouling, where you hit guys. Hey, you're on a breakaway. Go stop the breakaway. How are you going to do it? We had a drill where you ran full speed and then you tried to take a charge. We actually had mats laying underneath to be nice, but they were so thin they didn't really do anything. And you would try to race there and get the charge. If you couldn't get the charge, you were supposed to foul him. And when you fouled him, if he made the basket, you had to run. Right then and there. If the guy made the basket, your teammate, because it's practice, makes the basket on this drill, you had to run. So you had to foul him hard enough that he couldn't make the basket, but not so hard that you got thrown out of the game. It was a really hard drill, and yet nowadays, oh my gosh, you'd get sued for millions if you ran a drill like that. So there he's saying, you guys remember what it's like to play? You can't just let a guy dunk on you, an All-American, you foul. And then if he gets an and one, well, then you're going to get yelled at by the coach. He's the coach. You don't have to yell at him if you don't want to. So I completely agree. It was not a good foul, though, in the sense, it was a good foul strategically. He didn't execute a proper hard foul very well. It could have been a flagrant 2. Do I think it was? No. Do I think it was dirty? No. It's just hard basketball, but it's definitely a flagrant 1. So the last minute, complete meltdown. What I loved about Tommy Lloyd is there was a stretch in the first half where BYU started to come back and Tommy Lloyd did not call a timeout. I think Tommy Lloyd was sitting there thinking, if we're actually going to win a game at the Final Four, then we got to be able to handle this moment right now without me. You guys have to handle this adversity. He didn't say that, but that's what his actions were. And then in the meltdown of the last minute, he did use a timeout late, but I just found it fascinating that he, for the most part, let them deal with allowing BYU back in. Now, when he was asked about the last minute, he doesn't say the ref screwed it up, but he's saying, I know my point guard can handle the ball a lot better. So isn't there a chance he was fouled?
Well, listen, I mean, I have an All-American point guard. And, I don't know if he got fouled or not, but, it's not too often you see a jump ball and then no calls like that, at the end of a game. And, I'm really confident with the ball in JB's hands, and I kind of wanted to save our timeout. Obviously, in hindsight, I would have done something different. And at the end of the day, listen, you just can't put it in the ref's hands. You got to be cleaner. We gave up free offensive free throw rebounds. I mean, I know Yvonne had the ball, had it over his head. They made a nice play, tipped it out. JB has the ball there. They make a play. And then AJ picks up the one, and we foul him so it doesn't get in. It turns into a flagrant one. I mean, so this tough stuff. I mean, it felt like everything at the end kind of went against us. But you know what? Our guys have competitive character and hung in there and found a way. But that easily could have went the other way for sure.
Notice he doesn't say the refs were bad, doesn't say they missed a call. He just says, hey, I know how good my guard is. And he doesn't just dribble into a trap and can't figure it out. That was pretty good. But the adversity, it's like a dream come true if you're a U of A fan. You're thrilled with the win, a huge road win that should solidify you, as long as you don't fall on your face, as the number one overall seed in the NCAA tournament, which means you're the number one seed in the West. I shouldn't be actually talking like that. They still have Houston. They still have plenty of games to fall on their face, like I said. But the games, if you care, the first round in San Diego is a Friday, Sunday, the 20th and the 22nd, if you're a U of A fan. So you keep playing this well, you're guaranteed to be going to San Diego. That's an easy drive, and you'll probably enjoy it. And then the next round is San Jose is the West. So it's not terribly close. I could drive it. I can get you to San Jose in about 11 hours, 10 or 11 hours, as long as you have a fast car and my wife's not in the car. But that's a nice way for U of A fans to go to those two sites. And like I said, unless you fall on your face, you're totally set in this. And plus, Houston is a site for the South, so you're not going to have to compete with Houston for it. Meaning, if you actually beat Houston, you're ahead of them and you're going out west anyway. And if Houston does beat you and passes you in the rankings at some point, well, they'll still take the Houston regional and you'll still want to be in the West anyway. So a lot of positive things were taken care of for you last night to get a road win like that. That's huge. Last one from Tommy Lloyd that I thought was interesting is just simply, what did you think of AJ Dybantsa? Because, he is awesome.
AJ is really good. You can do a great job on AJ and he can still score 30. He's a really unique player in college. We haven't seen a lot of guys like him that just are so proficient at getting fouled. So it makes for a tough guard. A lot of our guys haven't played against him. Especially, and then none of them played against him in a college setting because obviously he's continuing to get better. So, I thought once we got through the initial kind of feel of how to guard him, I thought our guys did a pretty good job.
Okay, that's it for U of A. Up next, they're in Tempe, Saturday at noon. ASU's in action tonight. They take on UCF. I should say this evening. They take on UCF on your drive home from work at 5 o'clock. And then GCU is tonight at Nevada. Quick Suns note, Jalen Green listed as questionable for tonight. That means basically what questionable normally means is game time decision, but we plan on him playing. We just want to see him go through warm-ups, heavy work before we actually activate him and say he's a go. But that's what questionable is, but that's a good sign. And I think this game is really, really important tonight against Brooklyn because Brooklyn's bad and the next 10 games are against teams that are pretty good, or it's a difficult road trip, one or the other. And if you're going to have to go without Devin Booker for a little bit of a time, you need to pick up a win when the schedule gives you one. And really, you didn't get one against the Heat. I can understand it. To not have Book, to not have Jalen Green, I get it. But at the same time, Miami came from altitude against Utah, got in at 5 a.m. to their hotel room, and they beat you. That's when the schedule gave you a gift and you didn't take anything from it. But should have Jalen Green tonight. Should be against a team that you can beat even without him. And I can call it kind of must win. I mean, I admit it's 1 out of 82, and it's not like they're frozen in time if they lose. But you've fallen down to the 7 seed, and you have this scenario in front of you where the schedule turns dramatically more difficult pretty soon. You got to take what you can get. You got to get a win right here. All right, coming up next, it is a Town Hall Tuesday on Doug Franz Unplugged, presented by Whirlwind Golf Club at Wild Horse Pass.
Here is Sue Rigler on starting 100 Mile Brewing Company.
What started 100 Mile Brewing Company is I actually have a degree in microbiology from ASU. Go Devils. And went back to school. I found out that UC San Diego had a brewing program, so I enrolled in that. And with the intention of opening a brewery, I came back to Tempe because it's Sun Devil country. I wanted to open a brewery in Tempe, which fresh, it never gets old is our tagline. And I'm pretty much a stickler about fresh beer. It's got to be fresh. Otherwise, it's not going to be served here.
Chances are you've already thought about getting back in shape. Maybe it's you, maybe it's your wife, or maybe it's something you want to do together. I'm Aaron from Goodyear Fit Body Bootcamp. We help busy adults get stronger, lose weight, and stay consistent with coach-led workouts and real accountability. And some of our most successful members are husband and wife teams. Right now, Doug Franz Unplugged listeners can try us out with a free week. No pressure, just a test drive. At Goodyear Fit Body, we inspire fitness and change lives every day.
Hear ye! Hear ye! Oh yay! Oh yay! It's time to call a town hall meeting.
It's a Town Hall Tuesday on Doug Franz Unplugged, presented by Whirlwind Golf Club, Wild Horse Pass. Oh, yeah. We've just started, and I already got the look. Like, I was excited because the post of the music hits right there. And I wanted to race to hit the post properly.
Well, I'm not wearing headphones, so all I hear is you yelling at me. I don't hear the music post.
I wasn't yelling at you. I wasn't looking at you. I was doing nothing towards you. Already in trouble. Typical husband. Can't win.
Wow. That's a typical husband right there, whining.
Well, if we're going to talk about that, why didn't you pour me a beer? I mean, come on. Step up.
So I don't want to hear your lip.
Okay, it would be in the beer, so you wouldn't have to hear it. How was your day?
It was great.
Oh, that's nice. I haven't even seen you or said anything yet.
Well, hello.
Hello. Thank you. Obviously, it's a Town Hall Tuesday, but we record this Monday night when Jennifer gets home from Phoenix Symphony rehearsal, and so I don't see her till literally 10:30 or so, and then she's always too exhausted to do this. But you find new life every time, so thank you.
You're welcome.
But
happy to be here.
How was rehearsal?
It was good.
Oh, good. Nothing thrilling? No good stories today or anything?
No, just plugging along, getting through our stuff.
All right.
Learning it better and better each week.
What do you think of my chair?
Oh, I didn't see it because you're in it. What do you think of your chair?
It's unbelievable, but again, it doesn't fit the desk, so I have to.
Well, once we get that figured out.
I put the desk risers from General Mike at positions around the wheel. Because there's 5 wheels and 4 desk risers. So I haven't figured out what I'm going to do. And I need a young hulking nephew to help me lift it. And then an attractive young lady with a bright future to move the fingers underneath the wheels.
I think I was supposed to buy one more of those.
If you can find them.
I failed.
Yeah, if you can find them. But I don't know if I would assume they don't. See, here's the thing. I'm assuming they don't come in packs of 1.
They probably come in packs of 4, honestly.
Exactly.
Because they're more made for like raising a bed.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Well, I'll see what I can do.
Okay, good.
Remind me though.
All right. You ready?
I am.
Okay, let's do it.
All right, say it, Doug. Bear down. Wildcat Bill.
That game last night was, first of all, fantastic college basketball. And if BYU shoots from three a little bit better, that's a Final Four game. I thought the refs missed a really good game. I don't blame the refs for who won or lost. I just thought they officiated terribly. There were so many times I thought in the second half BYU should have been at the free throw line, and they weren't. But then in turn, I felt like the refs got completely swallowed up by the fans in the last 2 minutes and were giving BYU all kinds of calls after that. I just thought they were very, very poor. But the thing that impressed me the most, and no, by the way, I'm not saying that, but what impressed me the most about Arizona is what I said earlier, that if you want to win that game, I think you use your timeouts differently if you're U of A. If you want to win the national championship, you do exactly what U of A did, because you want to see your kids struggle. You want to see your kids figure it out, and you don't want to bail them out. And that takes a heck of a coach that's willing to not have every ounce of his competitive juices running him over in that situation.
To our Commander-in-Chief, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you, my good brother. Life has been kind of crazy lately. I'm dealing with some health issues with my boy, my dog, Charlie Murphy. Thanks for the prayers in the past. Keep them coming, please. Continue prayers for you and your family, Doug, always. Hope you and your family are doing well. I had a blast at the Christmas event, by the way. Thanks for everything you do. I enjoyed talking to you and having a couple beers. Cheers. While there, I asked you if you can come on my podcast. The Pick is In on Saturday nights on X at 9 p.m. for the NF, which you said you would. That means the world to me. Just good conversation would be great. I'd love to get to know you better, talk about how you started your podcast, the work that goes into that, the Unplugged Army, and of course, some good sports talk with our sons, D-backs, and Cardinals. I'm grateful for whatever time you can give me. Ideally, 45 minutes to an hour would be great, but like I said, I'm very respectful of your time, even if it's just 30 minutes. I got so much love and so much respect for you, Doug. You're a big inspiration for me. Besides being an inspiration, I consider you a friend. Thank you again, brother. More great things are coming for you this upcoming year. Keep up the incredible work. God bless you. God bless your family. And God bless the entire Unplugged Army. God is so amazing. Have a wonderful day, brother. Sincerely, Staff Sergeant Michael.
That's wow. There's a lot there. Of course, best to you and Charlie. As far as coming on the podcast, absolutely. 45 minutes to an hour, probably not. I don't really have that kind of time. But I can easily do something like 15 to 30 minutes where, I could get to 30, but that would be tough. I'm not trying to say anything negative or that you're not worth it. It's just a lot of people don't believe it, that this job is 16 to 20 hours a day. And then when you see, oh, wow, it really is. I really don't have time to give up one of those hours. But as far as, what I do, I could just tell you, I don't mind talking about it on the podcast, but I usually go to bed at about sometime around 6 to 7 in the morning. I sleep until noon. And then I get up and try to race off somewhere to lunch if I have a lunch appointment. And if I don't, I just get started on finding stories and downloading sound and watching games. And that's what takes so long, because it's, everything I do is something that in bigger shows a producer does for the talent. And I'm doing all of that. And then I have sales appointments that I go on, and going to games that are local and things like that. So and then the decision Jennifer and I made 20 years ago to live in Goodyear. So there's a drive wherever we're going, and that's basically my world.
All right. Brenton says, hey, Doug, Fox 10 was a lot of fun. It was super weird watching myself be on TV afterward, but it was a great experience. I will include the link for you to see it. What are the Cardinals doing? This owner gives me no hope. The draft concerns me because there are no quarterbacks that really stand out to me, and we need someone to start developing right now. Maybe Carson Beck, but I'm not sure about him. We are just going down the same rabbit hole, and for some reason, our owner thinks that this time it will work. At this point, I think I just need to find a new team.
I got to tell you, I knew exactly where you're at. I was like that with Washington. And I sat in a hole because I couldn't even root for them. I just sat there like, what does it matter? I know they're not good enough to win. And I know if they do win, that forces us to deal with an evil man as owner. Now, it's a lot different than Michael Bidwill, but the Washington Redskins and then into Commanders owner was an evil man. There's no other way to put it. And the way he treated people and the things he tried to get away with women, he was a terrible human being. And I'm glad I waited it out. Honestly, I'm glad I didn't give it up. I still like other teams. Being the former Athens High School play-by-play voice, I'm a fan of Joe Burrow, so therefore I'm a fan. And I was born and raised in Southwest Ohio, so I certainly hope the Bengals do well. 3 years in Kansas City, I realize the rest of the country is sick of the Chiefs. I never will be, because I know what those people went through. Remember, they won Super Bowl IV, and they never got back to another Super Bowl until Pat Mahomes. They only got to AFC Championship game, I think, once in that whole time, and that was with Joe Montana. It's just, there's a lot of pain. So I like them a lot. As far as the situation with your owner, no, I admit, I don't think it'll be better, but I would stick it out. Now, the Carson Beck thing, to me, it's all about value. If the Cardinals get him in the third round, I think that's a really good pick. I don't think he'll be there in the third round, but that's when I would take him if I'm the Arizona Cardinals, as long as I feel really good about my first two picks. So I think that's great because you need a quarterback, but you're not living and dying by whether or not he survives. If you pick him number 3, that's a bad pick. There's too much talent. And I think if you even pick him to begin the second round, there's too much talent in this draft to run an experiment on a quarterback. But round 3, I think he's good enough as a third round pick. And I think he really can develop into something because he's a smart dude. So that I would draft Carson Beck. I would just do it probably in a round where admittedly he's not there. And when I say that stuff, a lot of you might go, well, that's an idiotic statement. Why would you draft a guy that's not there? What I'm really saying is I'm okay with missing out. I don't want to run the risk of taking him too soon because then I think it hurts too bad to miss in that round. I don't think it's the end of the world if you miss on a third round quarterback when you're in desperate need of a quarterback.
All right, we have a 3-part series from Hooked on Phonics. Would you like to answer each topic as we go?
Yeah, that sounds good, because then I forget.
Okay. Hey, Doug and Jennifer, happy Town Hall Tuesday to you both. A couple of takes this week, but both admittedly and regrettably not entirely informed. Number 1, I grew up in Connecticut as a UConn basketball fan. Unfortunately, I don't have the time to watch these days, so not as tuned in with the team as I'd like to be. But from what I've seen, Bobby and Danny have very similar coaching styles and displays of emotion, if you will. What are your thoughts on why that style hits for Danny and flops for Bobby?
As far as demeanor is concerned, you're exactly right. They are very similar. And I have actually mentioned this to Bobby. I think that's a bad thing on the West Coast. A lot of you might be offended by this. This is not an attempt to offend, but I really do believe this as fact. I don't even think it's my opinion, having lived in so many different places. The East Coast is an angrier place, and it's a more intense place. They simply care more about sports. It's more of a life and death thing. It's almost as if, I mean, it's not fair for those of you when I say this that are like, you might be a hardcore machinist. You might be a construction guy in the heat. Okay. That's very important stuff. But so much of the East Coast is hard labor, and sports is their outlet. And so who are you to take sports softly? You know, who are you to not run to first base with everything that you've got? This is their livelihood. They spent their livelihood to come see you, and you're not giving everything. They want your head. Okay. I mean, that's the only way to explain it. So Danny Hurley's energy and emotion doesn't stick out, and the referees are kind of used to it. With Bobby, every time he does it, I admit, now that I've become a West Coast guy, I'm like, hey. And referees, I think, tune him out, and they judge him more harshly, and they give him faster technicals and things like that. So that's why to me, it doesn't work here. Now, as far as their coaching styles, the biggest difference to me is their style of offense, in which UConn has a lot of people moving around. They have a ton of player movement. Bobby, being the greatest point guard in the history of college basketball, I think one of his biggest mistakes is not realizing something. No one's as good as he is. So I think he wants point guards to see the game like he does, and they don't. Now, Mo Odom is pretty close. He's a really good young point guard, not good in an NBA sense, but good in a college sense. And what Bobby believes in is, if I work you to the bone playing defense, I'm going to let you shoot offensively. If you work on that shot, you shoot it. I have always disagreed with the Bobby Hurley shot selection. I think his players take bad shots. I'm okay with the Steph Curry influence on people that shoot like Steph Curry. And guess what? Hardly anybody shoots like Steph Curry. So therefore, don't do it. Move the ball, move human beings, get the defense to go side to side where they open up gaps and make a mistake, get a paint touch, and sure, if you can kick it back out for an open three, do it. But if you could take the Suns' offense and give it to ASU, or UConn's offense and give it to ASU, I think they would look a lot better. And that's what I want to see. So I think that those are the two main reasons, is Bobby's offensive philosophy and Bobby's geographic location as far as tolerance of that kind of intensity.
Number 2. Also, having grown up in the 80s and 90s with tremendous love for baseball, I still wear the scars from the strike in 94 and the steroid era to follow. Although young at the time, I remember how many fans the game lost and how McGuire and Sosa, among others, brought many back with the long ball. That said, as an opinionated statement, I think the league not only welcomed the use of steroids, but encouraged it, and then hung the players out to dry. A black eye for the game indeed, but part of the league's history nonetheless. With MLB's involvement, and since you can't prove that everyone was not taking performance-enhancing drugs, you can't keep those players whose mark on the game would otherwise warrant their admission out of the Hall of Fame.
I completely disagree. And I love your beginning point. It was painful. I completely disagree, though, and here's why. The players' union fought like crazy to make sure testing never was accepted. The owners did not fight like crazy to make sure testing was included. So you are right. The owners were complicit, 100% right. But let me ask, why does that matter? If you and I are in a race, if we're in a swimming race in the 1980s and you're East German and I'm not, if you win and the doctor has been injecting you all the time, are you not at fault because, hey, I didn't really know what the doctor was doing, so should your records count? Or if you beat me? aren't you the user? Or does East Germany get hammered? See, that was a bad opinion. I don't know where that was going. It made sense to me when I started, but here's why I don't like it is just because the owners made their bed, why does that excuse the players? And when you say, how do we know who was using and who wasn't? Honestly, I don't care if I'm wrong because A, this is not a court of law. You are not innocent until proven guilty. This is not jail time here. I think you're guilty until you're proven innocent. Ken Griffey Jr. and Frank Thomas adamantly wanted steroid testing. They were angry about it. They spoke about it all the time, and their bodies never really changed while they were in Major League Baseball. I 100% believe that they did not use. No, I cannot prove it, but I believe they didn't use. When I see the Players Association fighting to, in a sense, not allow testing, to me, that makes them all complicit, and therefore, I don't mind if I get it wrong. If I think somebody used steroids that didn't, I'll just say, hey, you should have fought harder to get testing in, because I don't remember you ever complaining about the fact that steroids had taken over the game. So that's why I don't want steroids in it. You're right. Do not excuse the owners, but I'm not putting them in either. Like I'm very much against Bud Selig getting into the Hall of Fame. And almost all the commissioners get into the Hall of Fame. But he doesn't belong in.
Number 3. As the home team, did the Broncos have the choice of jersey color? Late in the fourth, one of the commentators made mention of New England's advantage while wearing the white aways. As the home team, one would think Denver should have had the benefit of wearing white in a snowstorm. Thanks for your thought. And again, all of that was from Hooked on Phonics.
Yeah. I don't know if I was clear there. Bud Selig is in the Hall of Fame, and I don't like it. Yes. And it's the same way in the Super Bowl. They rotate. I haven't looked to see who's the home team yet, but they rotate, and home team always decides on what color they are going to wear. And almost every home team has a standard color that they love. It's kind of funny. When I was a kid growing up, both Dallas and Washington hated their color jerseys. They always wanted to wear white. So therefore, when they were home, they always made the other team wear the jersey that they didn't like. Nowadays, it's not the case. Now it's more of a marketing thing where you're telling the players what you're going to wear. Most games in September, especially in the South, teams always like to wear their light colored jerseys because they want you to be hot in the sun. So it depends on where you're at. But yes, that would have been a smarter move, I think, for Denver to have said that. But again, I said this yesterday. Anybody, the worst job in America, not physically, but mentally, is a weatherman in Denver. I mean, it's crazy. You have an 80-degree day into a snowstorm. And so they knew it was going to snow. But remember, there was hardly any snow on the ground with 9 minutes left in the third quarter. And the field was covered at the beginning of the fourth quarter. It's insane. So I don't think they could have anticipated it being a blanket that fast.
Doug, should the Diamondbacks re-sign Gallen? 1-year deal? In my opinion, he lost a ton of money last year because of performance. What's the rotation look like? Thanks, Jamie, Flagstaff Scout for the Unplugged Army.
Good conversation. Number one, yes, I would love them to re-sign Gallen. Obviously, it takes two to tango. And here's the thing. I don't know if Gallen wants to go anywhere on a 1-year deal. When you have your agent be Scott Boras, this is the game that you've decided to play. And look what it did to Jordan Montgomery. And Jordan Montgomery eventually fired him. I think you are doing yourself, every player does it, a terrible disservice when you sign with that man. You are not important at all. It has everything to do with him keeping his clientele and his style. And he sells it to you that this is the way to make money and then doesn't care when it doesn't work. Because let's say it works for 4 out of 5 people. Well, why does he care for him? That's 80% of the time it works. Great. But for you, 100% of the time it didn't work. So why do it? And Zach Gallen, I think, is going to be stuck signing something that's going to be not the right thing for him. What's different about Zach Gallen is he, being a South Jersey guy, he kind of likes the big city, angry environment. So he's good. He's probably going to be fine. He did cost himself a lot of money, but I think it is a mistake. I think he should sign a 1-year prove it deal with somebody, and I think he'll make more money on his next contract than he would have if he just signs for medium money now. And I think that's what he's going to get. So if we agree it should be a 1-year deal, then I do think he wants to stay. So I guarantee you the Diamondbacks have told him, if you don't like what you're getting out there, we want to stay in the race. And I know that the Diamondbacks are interested, but they went into the offseason assuming they wouldn't get him. And so my answer to your question is yes, they should sign him on a 1-year deal, but I don't think Gallen will accept it. Oh, I'm sorry. What's the rotation look like? Rodriguez, Merrill Kelly, Brandon Pfaadt, the Braves dude, Michael Soroka, and Ryan Nelson.
Okay. Thank you for the rundown.
Yeah.
Hi, Doug. I was listening to this morning's show and heard the 4-minute offense where you read that it could be -40 in Green Bay. Living in Northwest Michigan, it's been a nightmare of a week this week. It snowed about 8 inches. I just came in from shoveling the walk about 10 minutes ago, and it's already covered again. I heard it might rain and be 64 in Arizona this weekend. I know you're an Ohio guy, so I know you get it, but ugh. What I wouldn't give to live in AZ. Cheers to you and your family, Lieutenant David from Michigan, wishing I was in Phoenix.
David, you can be, but don't tell anybody. We'll invite you, but nobody else. I don't know why anybody does it. I don't. As
lives elsewhere?
Yeah. Now, being an Ohioan, let me explain. We think we know what it's like to be from Michigan, and we don't. And Jennifer's got it worse than I do. Jennifer's hometown is much closer to Lake Erie, so there was no such thing as lake effect snow in Dayton, Ohio, and there is in northern Ohio. The idea, I don't think I could even do the podcast if I had to spend time shoveling the driveway, chipping. And for those of you that are Arizonans, you don't know, you don't just run back and forth with a shovel and be done. You're chipping the ice, you're throwing the salt. Then you spent the money on the snow blower, but then you've either got the snow blower where you mix the gas and the oil together into one compartment, or you've got oil in it and then you actually change the oil after the season is over, and then the blades get stuck, and then something flies into, I don't know what that was, and then it tears the thing up, or you're just out there shoveling it. Our driveway in Kansas City, it took me about 40 minutes.
And then you come in and you feel like you were hit by a truck because your body hurts so bad.
And remember, Larry Bird, how did he hurt his back? He hurt his back shoveling his driveway in Indiana. No, and no. I'm never going back to that again. I literally hate it. When we were in Ohio for Christmas, it was wonderful for December weather in Ohio. And then it was 20 degrees the last day. And I could hardly pump gas. I was just like, what is going on? Why do I have to deal with this? That's the only word I have for it. So when you say you're wishing you live here, David, I'm sorry. I think you're making a mistake. I mean, just tell the family we're moving and load up.
Oh, everybody's hunkering down for like 3 days.
My hometown was 0 degrees in the middle of the day today.
That's just crazy.
0. Oh my gosh.
I'm cold just thinking about it.
I remember it being that bad for us growing up, like early in the morning. I literally don't remember a day where it was 0 degrees at 2:00 in the afternoon. That's crazy. 1:00 noon.
I'm sure there probably was one, but.
And if there was, we probably didn't have school and I had 9 layers on and I was sledding or something.
Yeah. Or you were too young to pay attention what the temperature was. All right, moving on. I love the buzz. Even post-game Suns guys are being cautious, but as a lifelong Suns fan, I try to be a realist. I can't help but to see the similarity to the Nash Stoudemire era Suns, but different. Hear me out. The 7 seconds or less Suns were fun. The 20, 25, 26 Suns are dangerous. Back then, speed and offense changed the game. This team is changing expectations through total buy-in. Under head coach Jordan Ott, every player has embraced a clear identity, play fast when it's there, defend every possession, trust the next guy. That culture shows up in the effort of Grayson Allen and Jordan Goodwin, the edge and toughness of Dylan Brooks bringing nightly, the edge and toughness Dylan Brooks brings nightly, and the steady leadership of Devin Booker, who now sets the standard without saying a word. There's a familiar echo of the past, too. Steve Nash passing habits and feel to Colin Gillespie is a reminder that connection still matters here. Now add this. Jalen Green is just returning, bringing fresh legs, energy, and another scoring dimension to an already balanced group. This 5th seed is not a fluke. It's a team that knows who it is. Same connection, more defense, better playoff DNA. Maybe I'm just a fan, but I'm really excited and optimistic about the historic turnaround we are witnessing with the Phoenix Suns. JT Smack.
JT Smack, I agree with everything that you said, and I'll even go one further. Steve Nash is a paid consultant now of the Suns, and I'm starting to see Colin Gillespie gain a change of pace. If you remember, Steve Nash had that ability to seem like he was going fast down the lane. Nash wasn't slow, but he wasn't fast either. But he would seem like he's going fast down the lane, and then all of a sudden he would slow down. And it like forced you to either foul him or get out of his way. And then he had these crazy crafty layups, which adjusted for his lack of height. I'm starting to see Colin Gillespie mix in a change of pace. Not just change of direction, but literally a change up in the lane, slowing down and confusing people with his pace. And I think he got it from Steve Nash. I don't know that, but seeing him do it and knowing that Nash is around makes me feel like he's doing that. I don't want to talk about this one aspect very much because I love the enthusiasm. I want it here. I want people to be excited. And I want to be excited. But what is my job? To tell you what I think. I think everything you're seeing is real, and I think they're going to fight like crazy for home court advantage all year. And I think they're going to get run over in the first round. Sorry. And the reason why I say something so tragic is because the total buy-in, the effort, the energy, everything they do is awesome. And that's how you win regular season games, because the other team usually doesn't have that. And then you take advantage of them and you win. Well, in the postseason, everybody's trying almost as hard as they can. Some guys aren't, but almost everybody is. So the total buy-in, the work ethic and all that stuff, that's not going to matter that much because the other team will be there too. What I am seeing that I love is the total buy-in, not in a game. You can tell that it's in practice by what they run offensively. A lot of what they run is timing-based. Timing-based is practice-based. And it means you can't do it softly. You can't walk through practice or jog through practice and develop timing. You've got to practice at full speed to be able to run that stuff with the same timing at game speed. And since they're doing that, that's the one thing that could separate a gritty energy team from an actual playoff winning team, is because their offense is so crisp in the way that they move bodies and move the ball that there's a chance they could do something. But I got to go by what my eyes tell me compared to history. And history is these great try-hard teams shock the world, and then they get to the postseason and nobody's shocked anymore. And now they know, well, we've got to bring it to beat them. And then the other team does too. Because now a championship's on the line, not a win in February. I feel like the biggest downer to a party. I do. I don't want to talk about that again.
No, it's a valid point, and we'll see if you're right.
And we hope I'm wrong.
We'd hope you're wrong. I'll admit it, before he torches me, I lost at darts to the Dart King at Unplugged Doug. There, I said it. At AZ Bobby Mack.
I told him he had to call me Dart King, and I was kind of joking. I didn't expect to see it actually in a tweet. That was really funny, and it was a very fun time. A lot of good people at that place. A lot of good conversations. I really like his friend Josh a lot. So I enjoyed having a beer with him, and I texted him today, yesterday. Texted him yesterday and said, well, the Unplugged Army's fired up to have you regularly, so I think I'll just text you every Wednesday and find out what time you're available. And he said, sure. So recording with Bobby Mack almost every Wednesday, and then he'll be on the show every Thursday.
Fantastic.
It's really cool. Really cool.
AZ Brew Crew says, another great article. The hashtag Unplugged Army is looking forward to at AZ Bobby Mack joining at Unplugged Doug more often moving forward. It sounds like you might need to brush up on your dart game. Hashtag new team president. Hashtag 28.6% versus 48.5%. Hashtag great stat. Hashtag oblivious owner. Hashtag cheers.
AZ Brew Crew, I have to admit, and I have not negotiated with the vice president yet. This is kind of funny. Let's laugh about this. The station, as in the old station, bought a subscription to the paper, then gave all the talent the password. So I have been still using the same password to the Arizona Republic since I got let go. All of a sudden, it doesn't work now. I don't know what happened. I texted the internet dude today. Hey, what happened? He goes, I don't know. I didn't change it. So I don't know who changed it, but I don't have it. And then he was laughing at me, but he didn't go find it for me. So I have to have the paper. So I don't know if that becomes a business expense, but it's like $140 a year. It's like obnoxious. But there's my dilemma. So I don't know what your stat is. I don't know if that's in reference to an article. If there's an article and it says 28.6 versus 48.5, or if it's something I said in a breakdown that I don't remember, but I need to know.
So he needs to email you.
Email me what the stat is. And I need to. He was also tweeting about an article that Bobby Mack had tweeted out that was written by Teo Mackey about frustrated Cardinals fans and people canceling their season tickets. And so I don't know if that stat was in that article because I was able to read the first 3 sentences of the article before it fades it out. You can't see it.
Yeah.
So, Madam Vice President, what do we want to do here? Do we actually want to spend the 140?
Yes.
I love you. Thank you. That was easy. Well, then I think I think the commander in chief needs a Mustang too.
No.
We have a board meeting over this?
I am the board. The board has spoken. This is the way.
Oh, you can't do that. Oh.
But I did.
Oh, man. You are not from Mandalorian.
Oh, I am the Mandalorian. All right, let's get back at it. Thursdays with at AZ Bobby Mack. I'm stoked for it. Got to think of a good segment name, at Farmer Braxton.
Well, here's what's funny. Before I could respond, Jonathan, captain of the quad squad, tweeted the next 2.
On target with Bobby Mack. Bull shooting with Bobby Mack.
I like shooting the bull with Bobby Mack. But on target is pretty good too. On target with Bobby. And that's kind of funny. I mean, that is funny just to rub it in too. Every time that we have Bobby, I got to come up with an open. I have Bobby Mack I kept a recording of Bobby Mack calling me an evil witch.
What?
It's just the funniest phrase out of nowhere he said one time.
So which I'm your wife.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't want Bobby Mack to say that though. So
true.
I need to come up with an open, and I think I'm going to use him calling me an evil witch as part of the open. And then maybe we'll do it on target with Bobby. Now it's time for On Target with Bobby Mack.
Oh my. I can't wait to see what you come up with for that. All right, at Jean Lily 14 says, tell Jennifer she has another coming.
He had put a link to an article of a picture of a young man. Looked like a Dominican Republic type of field the young man was playing baseball on. And it said, yes, indeed, the Diamondbacks have signed Geraldo Perdomo.
No!
And he said, if you're wondering, yes, it is Geraldo Perdomo's younger brother.
There's no way. That's going to break me.
Especially if it's a double play combo. You know, if Cattell ever gets kicked to the DH spot, Geraldo to Geraldo.
Okay, Jerry to Yuri.
Wasn't it General Mike that told you about Jerry? Like, that's not good. I still blame him. I would rather you have never known that you can call him Jerry.
I latched onto that so fast.
Oh.
All right, at Golfer Matt 37 says, I can't wait to hear Jennifer go back and forth. Oh no, I've tested already. Between Geraldo and Geraldo on Town Hall Tuesday. I didn't get eliminated.
I think you were okay because once you got through Geraldo then just the rhyme part made it easy. But you didn't say Geraldo and Geraldo Perdomo. You got to go Geraldo and Geraldo Perdomo.
No, I don't. That wasn't on there. I do not remember seeing
the board has to say that.
It did not. They had to get confused of which one their parent was calling when they were growing up.
Oh,
those are two.
My little
close.
brother was, according to my mother, was named Duh Aaron. I mean, all the time, Duh Aaron. And it was really weird when she was calling me, Duh Aaron, Doug. Well, why'd you start with the Doug part and then bail?
I went to college with twins, Roderick and Broderick.
Yeah, you're just screwing yourself.
Like, I don't know. That would be hard. Anyway, Mark B says, could you explain how the new review works on balls and strikes? Is it for this year or are they still experimenting?
The experiment is over. It starts this year. I assume it'll be in every spring training park, but I admit I don't know that. Last year it was in every dual spring training park, but like the Cubs didn't have it. So I'm assuming the Cubs have it and the Brewers have it and things like that for this year's spring training. But yes, it's official. It's part of the game now, and it will be there for all regular season games. There are 3 people that can challenge. This is not like a manager can challenge plays on the field, but only the catcher, pitcher, and batter can challenge balls and strikes. And then you simply walk away from the at bat and you tap your head. And that means it's a challenge. And then the home plate umpire walks out and says, so-and-so is challenging the call on the field. And then you just look up at the scoreboard. Everybody, like umpires are learning in real time as we are, whether or not it's a ball or a strike.
Is there a limit to that?
Yes.
Oh, okay, good.
It is, each team has 2 of them, but every time you're right, you keep it.
Okay, so that's similar to football, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, in football, it's funny. I still have this beef with all replays. I think every team, no matter who they have, you should get 1 replay and you never lose it if you're right. In the NFL, you get 2. If you get them both right, you get a 3rd. If you get your 3rd one right, you're done. It doesn't matter. Well, why? It's not my fault you stunk 3 times.
Yeah.
I got it right.
Mm-hmm.
Why do I now, I don't have any more? And I would also do it as if I'm not giving you 2. If you get one wrong, you're out. You don't get them anymore. So I would just go with 1, and every time you get it right, then you keep it. What I am so fascinated by is the in-house rules of who's going to be allowed to use it. Can you imagine if a guy for the Yankees that's batting 180 uses the challenge, he's wrong, and now they blow a pitch to Aaron Judge and he doesn't have one to use? Like, what do we get? Like, I think there's going to be rules per team of rookies, you can't use it. Or you'll have a scenario where maybe certain players have to look at the manager and get a clue on whether or not he's allowed to challenge. But a guy like Perdomo, boom, you can have it. Geraldo gets it, Geraldo doesn't.
Oh, no. Is it only the players who can use it?
It's only the batter, pitcher, and catcher.
Okay.
Nobody else.
Okay.
No other position player and no one in the dugout.
Okay. Thank you for... You probably already said that, but I must have zoned out.
That's all right.
All right. Josh Rogerson, 79, says, if teams have to conduct minority interviews, how do they just get to hire John Harbaugh?
Because they did do a minority interview. That's why. The Giants, I would have to look it up. If you want me to, I can look it up who it was. But I believe they did Morris from Atlanta, the head coach that got fired in Atlanta. I think that's who was their minority interview. Let's see. If I Googled New York Giants Rooney Rule, and I'll see. It said they fulfilled the Rooney Rule requirements by interviewing Raheem Morris and former Raiders head coach Antonio Pierce. Oh, that's right. They changed it. You got to do 2. This is where you get into an interesting debate about race. There is 0 chance Antonio Pierce is ever going to be a head coach in the NFL. 0. So when you're interviewing him, what are you doing? You're really just wasting time. And that bothers me twofold. One, I don't like a rule that's just being used. Number 2, I don't like it from a Giants point of view because you knew full well you weren't going to hire him. So why not take a chance? Because for those of you that don't know, most people say that this is 100% true. I've never had it verified to me that the Pittsburgh Steelers were going to hire Ken Wisenhunt or one other in-house candidate. I forget who it was. And then for those of you who don't know, it was the Rooney Rule is for their old owner of the Steelers. And they interviewed Mike Tomlin, the defensive coordinator of the Vikings. And it was one of those things where they decided, since the Rooney Rule's here, of course we're going to follow it. But we're not just going to find somebody who's black, interview them, and then say, look what we did. We interviewed a minority. They went out and kind of chose somebody they thought was young and up and coming that they never thought in a million years they would hire. But that way, that person gets experience in this kind of an interview. And we learn kind of what the talent that's out there. And they were so blown away, they hired him. And he won a Super Bowl 2 years later. That's what that rule should be for. And so the interview of Antonio Pierce is a joke. Now, Raheem Morris, that's not a joke. I mean, I think that guy is a wonderful defensive coordinator. He's never been able to put it together as a head coach, but he's never had great situations. I hope he gets another chance. But yeah, you knew that these were fulfilling rules because they met with John Harbaugh the day after he was fired. They were there at his house. So they made it very clear who they wanted. And I have no problem with that.
Are there rules on the interview, whether it can be on the phone, virtual, or in person?
There is a rule that the owner has to be involved in the interview.
Okay.
Yes.
So no parameters of what that interview.
Right.
Okay. Okay, last one comes from Eric M. No, at Unplugged Doug, the Big Ten isn't overrated. The SEC is. I know you spent time living in Alabama, and just because it, quote, means more down there doesn't mean it's a more dominant league. Turn off the Paul Feinbaum show, please.
The SEC before ridiculous expansion was far and away better than the Big 12 for years and years and years and years. Back when bowl games...
He said the Big 10, not the Big 12.
Thank you. You're right. The Big 10. Before the proliferation of skipping bowl games, the South would always, the SEC would dominate bowl games. They would dominate non-conference games. And how many times did the SEC win a championship against a Big Ten team? I'll never forget going to the Florida-Ohio State game, and Ohio State runs the opening, Ted Ginn Jr. runs the opening kickoff back, and every Ohio State fan in the world wants to laugh at the SEC, blah, 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 and they get blown out. I mean, it's not even close. Now, I do want to say the gap is closed with everything. The SEC isn't just straight sheer dominance, but look at, like, for an example, to me, here's how you look at it, okay? It is ridiculous. We got about 16 teams now in each conference. So let's just look at the 8th best team, okay? I'll randomly do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the Missouri Tigers were 8-5. Vandy was the number 7 team in the conference. They were 10-3. So 7 is 10-3, 8 is 8-5. In the Big Ten, if we look at number 7, and I'm doing this blind, I might be walking right into a trap and look like an idiot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Number 7 is the 9-4 Washington Huskies, and number 10 is the 8-5 Minnesota Golden Gophers. Now,
number 10 or number 8?
Number 8. If you put Minnesota versus Mizzou, who's winning?
Mizzou.
By a lot. And so how far do you want to go down? That's the thing to me, is its depth of the conference. Like, everybody wants to talk about, boy, it's hard to win at Wisconsin. Okay, they were 4-8. All right. They were 4-8. They were 0-5 at home, so maybe it is hard to win there, and it's not hard to beat them when they come to Europe. I mean, that's the Big Ten. It's not that great. And to me, when I say overrated, Iowa's the 17th best team in the country. Okay, that to me is the definition of being overrated, because who did they play? They only played Iowa State in the non-conference, and guess who won? Iowa State. So Iowa beat the University of Albany football team, UMass, and Iowa State was their other non-conference game. So you played UAlbany and UMass as that's what you thought was, and you ended up as the 17th best team in the country? How does that happen? Now, they did beat Vandy in a bowl game, but let me tell you, I am one that I no longer look at bowl games anymore, because I don't even know who's staying, who's not staying, who's transferred, blah, blah, blah. Okay, now, I mean, I care about the bowl games because some of the players that are in there, I need to get to know them, but it's not the tester of sport anymore that it used to be. But no, Merrick, the Big Ten, that's why I say the Big Ten is the most overrated, because people still believe it's good, because look at the way teams were ranked throughout the season in the Big Ten. And the fact that, again, how is Iowa ranked as the 17th best team in the country? No way.
Was Mizzou ranked?
No.
Wow.
They were ranked most of the year and then fell off because they had an SEC schedule. There you go.
All right. Happy Town Hall Tuesday.
Happy Town Hall Tuesday.
It's time for Boosters Bingo. Oh, yeah, we were struggling, and now we can have some dancing. Yes. There we go. How about some dancing? Said we got to take it easy a little bit. We came in on a big slump, 4-16 in our last 20. We picked up 2 wins. We went 2-0 yesterday. Thank you very much. Anaheim was on the back end of a back-to-back on the Alberta trip. We took Edmonton to cover the puck line, had positive juice, and they did it. Edmonton won 7-4. And I told you I like Duke all over Louisville, but I admit I didn't think it'd be that much. I thought they'd win by 15 or 20, and they won by 30. They beat Louisville 83-52, so we had that one in a landslide, and we went 2-0. So, games that I like tonight. Normally, I would have been all over Philadelphia taking on Milwaukee, but because they're on the back end of a back-to-back and they travel. That's what I look at. I think it's hard to win on the back end of back-to-backs. So I weigh that heavily when I make predictions. And the formula, for the most part, has been pretty good. I'm not doing it this time, however, because I don't know if you saw it. Charlotte won by about 35 points. They were up by 50 going into the fourth quarter. Charlotte absolutely destroyed Philly. And so now you've been able to rest your players because you got blown out so bad, and they're going to come back mad. So really, it violates everything I do to bet in favor of a team that is on the back end of the back-to-back. But I'm not doing it, but I'm just telling you might want to think about it because Philly's going to be so mad about what happened last night. I am taking a shocker. Washington's on about a 4 million game losing streak. But I'm going to take the Wizards plus the 6.5 against Portland. Portland's favored on the road, and I'm going to take the home dog because Portland's on the back end of a back-to-back. So I could see Washington maybe not winning, but at least keeping it close. So I feel actually reasonably good, which is kind of terrible to pick Washington to win and feel good about it. Hockey-wise, Utah's on the back end of a back-to-back. They went from Tampa to Miami. I'll take the Panthers on the money line. Bad juice, about minus 149, just to give you a heads up. Nashville on the money line over Boston. Boston's favored, so we get positive juice, and Boston's on the back end of a back-to-back. I like it. I think they were in New York, not a long trip, but I still like it. I'll take Nashville. Do not tell the nephew I said this. Going for blood money. I don't mind going for blood money because either I am thrilled with the win or you get paid. But Kent State, can't read, can't write, Kent State is so much better than the Ohio Bobcats. And they're only favored by 7.5 at home against my Bobcats. I know it's not happening. I know we're not winning that game. So we might keep it close and it's a bad bet. Or we might get a backdoor cover. I don't know. But I don't see a scenario where Ohio stays close enough to lose in single digits. So I really like Kent minus the 7.5. And then always bet the over with Bowling Green. So we'll take Buffalo at BG over the 149.5. Sound credits today. I got the, you know what? I have no idea. I'm so sorry. I did not write it down. So I hope you don't mind if I look it up where I got the head coach. Where did I get the Dabo Sweeney? My history should be there. There it is. From Clemson Tiger Net is where I got Dabo Sweeney. Clemson Tiger Net on YouTube. And I got UofA YouTube from their YouTube page. So there's my sound credit. That's kind of a rough sounding sound credit right there. I don't think I did a very good job explaining. That does it for today's version of Doug Franz Unplugged, presented by Whirlwind Golf Club at Wild Horse Pass, home of the 2026 LPGA Ford Championship. You've got a few days left to become a Whirlwind Plus member and receive the $200 credit to Prime Steakhouse and the 2-night stay at Wild Horse Pass. Fantastic prize. And the Whirlwind Plus plan always delivers. Not only do you save greatly on tee times, but also 15% off of Civlic and the best wings in the city, 15% off of anything that you get at the Pro Shop. It's brilliant. And whenever you take part in some of their giveaways and their fun events, man, it's like you realize it's all the extra stuff that make it so worth it. If you are a golfer, it only takes 3 or 4 times for you to pay off the $300 in savings. So if you're already going to golf, all you have to do is golf once every 3 months at Whirlwind, and you're going to make money on the deal. I guarantee it. Bell's Nashville Kitchen, they're located in Old Town. They've got the best sandwich you've ever had in the state of Arizona, the Nashville Hot Chicken Sandwich. I love the Cajun Shrimp Pasta. I love the Nashville Iceberg Wedge. I love Devils on Horseback if you've never had the appetizer. And the Kool-Aid fried pickles. Fantastic. Santan Ford, 202 in Val Vista. Get the Mustang. Get the Mustang. Parker & Sons, Heating, Cooling, Plumbing, and Electrical. One of the first sponsors of Doug Franz Unplugged. 6022 Repair. That's 602, the number 2, then REPAIR for Parker & Sons. We have a tankless water heater. We have electrical work done by them. We have a reverse osmosis system. We bought an air conditioner for the old house, and now we bought an air conditioner for the new house. We've only done it with one company. That's Parker & Sons. Burrito Express. Locations all across the east side and at a Circle K near you, in which they have the best breakfast burrito you've ever had in your life. 100 Mile Brewing Company, the proud sponsor of Beer Friday. They are located at the 202 Rural and Scottsdale Road, right behind the old Macayos. Go past the hotel when you make a hard hairpin turn off of 202 eastbound, and you'll find it very easy once you follow my directions. If you need any help, just email me, Doug at DougFranzUnplugged.com. Penny Royal Promotions, slap a logo on anything. And Goodyear Fit Body Boot Camp, inspiring fitness and changing lives every day. How about that? I'm kind of on time, even though it's 6:11 in the morning. Oops. Good night, Alf.
Doug, thank you so much. My best to your listeners, and keep up the work on Doug Franz Unplugged.